Hey everybody, Mike from Reno Propulsion Labs here. Today I'm here to talk to you about the Veymax Roadster X4. That's the skateboard right here. They sent it to me to do a review on, so we're going to check it out. I've never been much of an e-skate guy. I recently went to e-skate con and got to meet some of the different people in the e-skate, different communities, and got to ride a whole bunch of different boards. They sent me this. It came in right after e-skate con. So we're going to kind of get started and kind of tear into this thing a little bit. And one of the biggest parts of this review is going to be the range test, because I've seen a lot of other reviews online. They don't really talk about the range, and spoiler alert, I was pretty impressed with it. Just before I get started, I want to give a quick shout out here. Wearing the Rides Over Boys shirt today with Captain Morgan on the one wheel. I know that we have all been in that position, and it is no fun. So if you want to get one of these shirts, you can order them on renopropulsionlabs.com. We're also going to have a coupon code for the Veymax skateboard. It is Y9QF, so yellow 9 Queen Frank. And that'll be so you can get 5% off of anything off of Veymax's site, including the Veymax X4 Roadster that's right here. I also want to drop one of our sponsors, the Float Life. You can save 5% off the floatlife.com by using coupon code RenoWheel. And I've got some other coupon codes down in the description for Shred Lights, EUC Co, and Alien Rides. All right, so I want to start off here. First, I'm going to drop the price of the board. Right now, they're on their Earth Day sale. It's $439 from their website, which drops down to about $420 if you use the coupon code. This is really billed as a beginner skateboard. It's got a hub drive motors in the back. I believe they are 350 watt hub motors in the back. It's not belt drive. I've ridden some belt drive boards, and I do feel the belt drive is a little bit torquier than the hub motor drive, but the hub motor is very simple to work on. It's super reliable, and one of the things I like about it is when you're replacing wheels and tires, that stuff, you just have to replace the tire covers that go on the back, which is nice. I know that a lot of people say that the belt drive is more torquey, and I agree, it definitely is. This, however, I feel like does have plenty of torque. Again, I'm kind of a beginner. If I'd been riding for 10 years, I might think differently, but so far I've been pretty impressed with the power on this thing. It comes in 2 battery options. One of them is rated at 13 miles. The other one is rated at 18 miles. Like I said, I'm going to get into that a little bit more detail here in a minute. So the top speed on this board is rated at 29 miles per hour, which is plenty fast for me, especially as a beginner. And it will definitely hit that speed, and I have hit that speed. And it has 105 millimeter jelly wheels. So they're very similar to like a cloud wheel design in the back. You can kind of see them here. They kind of have the similar tread. I tore mine out pretty good. That was from just riding it. I've been riding this thing like crazy since I've gotten it, and my kids have been riding it like crazy. So since I got this board, I have actually picked up a couple more boards, and I still find myself going back to this one. The other main board that I've got is a Evolve, the Bamboo, one of the original GT series, and it's a really fun board, and it's really torquey. But this thing just feels so smooth on the pavement. I just keep finding myself coming back to this thing. So a couple other features. It does come with a couple rear lights in the back. I'm sponsored by Shred Lights, so I've got the Shred Light mounts on there right now. But the rear lights that come with it are sufficient. They're very nice lights. I've used them. They've got a bunch of different modes. You can have them flash. You can have them cycle, do all kinds of other things. I've got the Shred Lights on there because I like the front headlights, and I don't like having to remove these to swap to the Shred Lights and back and forth. So I've got those mounts, and you can actually see on the bottom I've got the mounts for the FLX series to have like underglow on it, which is pretty cool. So another thing, this guy comes with bash guards in both the front and the rear. You can see them right here, front and rear bash guards. And I haven't crashed anything yet, but my son has, and they seem to do a pretty good job of holding up. And there's no damage to the front of the board. After I've probably put about 50 or 60 miles on it, and there's a little bit of right here in the grip tape, but other than that, no damage at all. And then one other nice thing is that Veymax offers a 9-month warranty on this board. So you get the board and 9-month warranty, everything's good to go. So I'm going to roll some footage here while I'm riding and doing my range test, and I'm going to just go over some more of the details of the board. So the board comes with a Remote control, just like any other e-skate. It does have 4 speed modes. The starter mode, it's very slow. And then your medium mode is not the quickest either. Then you've got your 2 fast modes, and they both will definitely get up and go on you. I felt the ride feel on this was very smooth. Even going over bumps, large cracks in the sidewalk, small deviations in the sidewalk, I felt like it was great. The board has a little bit of flex in it, not anything crazy like my Bamboo Series board. I would like it if it was a little bit flexier, but that might just be because I'm a new rider. It does feel very stable though. I've been able to turn on it no problem. The bushings are a little bit tight from the factory, but backing those out will help. It does have a 7.5-inch reverse kingpin trucks with a 45-degree base plate angle on the bottom. Those seem to do great, and I would suggest maybe upgrading to a dual kingpin for, you know, if you really wanted to push this thing to the limit. But for a beginner board, I think that the trucks do feel really good on it. So on this range test that I'm rolling right now, I'm riding down in Roseville, California, and I'm out on a couple of bike paths back there. It's a very hilly area, so there's a lot of elevation change. I think that definitely would, well, it obviously is going to hurt my mileage that I get on it, and you can definitely see it in this review that it slows my mileage down a little bit, but not by a lot. Especially with me, with my gear on, I weigh about 220 pounds, so I'm not a lightweight rider. The board's rated for, I believe, 330-pound riders, which is pretty standard for these beginner series boards. But even with that, I did manage to get 11.5 miles on this thing. Rated at 13, with me being a little heavier than most riders and going up and down a lot of hills. And I was in the 3rd ride mode the whole time. I didn't switch it up to the 4th ride mode. I felt like it was really capable. There were a few steeper hills that I hit, and some of those steeper hills in the 3rd ride mode, I forgot to switch it up to the 4th. Definitely struggled getting up some really steep hills. The lighter hills, there weren't any real issues, but at no point did it give out on me until I ran the battery dead. And that was right at the 11.5 miles. I was very surprised I did make it all the way back to my car. The remote does vibrate at you when you're getting low on battery life. So I was looking at this, I want to say it started vibrating right around 10 miles, and it would start buzzing, and then it would buzz more and more and more and more the closer you got to 0. When it started buzzing though, I still felt like it had full power. There wasn't a whole bunch of voltage sag. I'm sure it was there, and if I was in that top ride mode, I would have felt it. But I was extremely impressed with the mileage on this board. I've got a buddy who had one and actually did a review also. And I think he ended up with maybe getting some bad cells in one of the batteries. And I know he's working with Veymax right now to get that replaced. But I have had 0 issues with this thing as far as battery life. And I've run the battery almost all the way down on multiple occasions. I know my kids love it. And I'll go out and I'll be riding one wheel with them. And they'll jump on this thing and they'll spend hours on it and just absolutely love riding this thing around. So the board comes with a 1.7 amp charger. Gives you a 2.5 hour charge time. So even if you do run the battery down, especially if you're using it for like a commuter for work or something like that, you can definitely charge it. It'll charge back up pretty quick. 1.5 amps isn't the fastest charger in the world, but it's definitely sufficient, especially for a beginner board like this one. So I know right now there's all kinds of different beginner boards out in the community. All kinds of different companies are offering different things. One of the things that I really like about this board is the gaskets on the bottom. I haven't pulled it apart. If you want to see it pulled apart, there's plenty of reviews online. The biggest thing I wanted to hit in this review was the mileage and just how close that was to what they said it was. But these are all full rubber gaskets instead of the foam gaskets that you see on a lot of beginner boards. Even on some of the original one wheels, like the One Wheel XR, had foam gaskets inside. So I would be very comfortable riding this through light puddles, that type of stuff. Trying not to get the hub motors, get them too wet, but I'm very impressed by the build quality of it. The truck bolts are very solid. They're the design where they've got the ribbing, so you kind of can drive them down in there, and you don't really have to hold on to the top with an Allen wrench, which makes it convenient. It does come with a T-tool. When I got the T-tool, I went in here with, I've got tons of other tools working on boards and stuff like that. It's a little orange T-tool, but it's got all the bits and sizes that you need to work on and maintain this board. So one of the things that I kind of wanted to touch on was, I know a lot of people will look at getting a new board, and it's one of their first boards. They really want to learn how to e-skate, and they're trying to decide between buying something new like this, that's going to come fresh from the factory, brand new board, or if they wanted to buy something used by, for example, my Evolve GT Bamboo, something along those lines, an older board with higher mileage and all that. One thing I would caution people buying used boards is, you could get a great deal. You could have a board that, the battery was maintained great and, it was stored in ideal conditions. But there's a really good chance that you don't end up with that. There's a really good chance you end up with a board that the battery just hasn't been maintained, that you get the thing and it runs great and you zip up and down the street on it when you're test riding it, and then you get it home and you go for your first ride over a couple miles and the battery dies. My Evolve GT that I got used, and I rode it. At first, everything felt fine, and after about 2.5 miles of riding, the battery would die. And the batteries are the most expensive part of pretty much any personal electric vehicle, but especially on these e-skates, because otherwise they're just a couple motors, the speed controller, and the deck. And you can find decks, if you're anything into skateboards, decks aren't really that expensive. So the batteries are the most expensive part. If I were doing this and decided I wanted to get an e-skate and wanted to start somewhere fresh and didn't want to spend a lot of money right out of the gate, I would seriously consider this Veymax board. I've had a blast on it. It feels really smooth, really comfortable when you ride it, and it's given me zero issues. And that's something that I can't say for any other PEV that I've owned. Now, granted, I haven't put a ton of miles on it yet, and I'm sure if I do, eventually things happen. I mean, things deteriorate over time, but I have been nothing but impressed by this board. Again, with the price point at $420 with the coupon code, this thing is great. You've got a great board. All your aftermarket accessories will work on it. I mean, if you look at my Shred Lights review, I'm riding this board in the Shred Lights review along with the Evolve, and you just can't beat it for the price, especially if you're a college student or you're someone young and you just want to get into it and see if you like it. And I would suspect that if you keep it and you do decide to upgrade, Veymax does have a lot of other options. They do have belt-driven boards now. They've got a whole catalog of boards on their website. After seeing the build quality on this, I'm very impressed, and I definitely think that one of my next upgrades will be a better or more expensive quality Veymax board. Something maybe with that belt drive, because I do enjoy the belt drive. But if you want to get something like this, especially for college students, for dads, people with kids, or moms with kids that kind of want to test the waters but aren't 100% sure, my kids love this thing. I can't get them off of it, and they have given up one wheeling. Basically, I still try to force them to do it sometimes, but they keep asking, "Can I ride the e-skate? Can I ride the Veymax?" I've tried to put them on the Evolve. They don't like that one. They like the Veymax. It's just a great board. It does come with two of these guys right here. I swapped it out for this one because I thought it was cooler looking, and it kind of differentiates it between other controllers. But other than that, it's a pretty basic, straightforward board, but it's an awesome board for the beginner. And I couldn't recommend it enough for somebody who's really just wants to dip their toes into the e-skate market and see if it's for them or not. Like I said, no issues with it, and I was super impressed with the range. With me, pretty much, especially riding in those type of conditions, I expect to get maybe 70% of the advertised range, and I got over 90%, or just about 90%. I can't do the math in my head that fast, but maybe 85%. But it was solid, especially, like I said, with my weight. If you live in a super hilly area with a lot of steep inclines and declines, I would suggest looking away from the Veymax, just because, or from this model of the Veymax, maybe go with one of their belt drive versions, just because that's where the one spot where I did see it struggle was going up steeper hills and inclines. But other than that, it's been great. I love the brakes on it. There were plenty of times when I had to slam on the brakes to avoid bicyclists, people walking, then riding on the sidewalk, cars pulling out of driveways, that type of thing. And the brakes I feel like would stop me no problem, or at least get me down to a slow enough speed quick enough that I could jump off of it and then allow the board to finish braking itself. So that's it. Honestly, I love this thing. I thought when I saw a $420 board that I'm probably going to get it. I'll test ride it for a bit, and it's going to go sit in the corner and collect dust. And it's collected a lot of dust, but that's because we've been riding it. We've been riding it out mostly on the street, a little bit of light off-roading, but I've been super impressed with this thing, and it's become one of the most used PEVs in my fleet, mostly for my kids. I'm still a one-wheel guy, but you know, I have no qualms jumping on this thing and going and riding to the park with them, or having them ride it down there. And it's a blast. It's fun to ride, and I can't recommend this enough if, you know, you're a beginner and you want to ride mostly on the road and you don't want to spend, you know, an arm and a leg trying to do it. So anyways, that's my review of the Veymax Roadster X4. It has been great to me. Again, if you do want to go to their website and purchase one of these, you can use the coupon code Y9QF, and you can save 5% off of it, and that'll drop that price down to $420. Makes me happy that the price is $420 after the coupon code, especially for the Earth Day sale. Or you can check out their other boards. They've got the Cahor, which is a little bit less expensive with a little bit lower range, but also a lot of reviews on that one out there too. Also a great board from what I've seen in the reviews. I don't have one, but all the same build quality from what I've seen, just a slightly smaller battery. And again, hit that coupon code and go to veymax.com. It helps support the channel, and you'll get a savings too. If you want to swing by the Float Life and pick up some gear or some safety gear from the Float Life, you can go to thefloatlife.com and use coupon code Reno Wheels, save 5% there as well. And again, you want to get a t-shirt. This is the Rides Over Boys shirt with Captain Morgan on it. That's not actually Captain Morgan, it's just a pirate, because I believe Captain Morgan probably has got that copywritten. But you can get those by going to renopropulsionlabs.com and clicking on shop. All my shirts are $25. Try to keep the prices low, just to get them out there in the community, so you know people can have some cool stuff to ride with. So thanks again for watching, guys. Again, if you want to click on any of those links, they're going to be down below in the description. And again, subscribing to the channel really helps me out. Click and like. If you got any questions about this thing, go ahead and leave a comment down below, and I will get to them. I'm pretty responsive on there. So, all right, guys. Thanks. Have a great day.